Have you ever tried teaching a room full of students who seem, well, vastly more interested in their phones than your lesson? Yeah, we've all been there. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a fascinating reflection by Charles W. Yormy on exactly why internet integration is absolutely essential for modern education. If you've been wondering how to actually bring digital tools into a learning space without the whole thing devolving into a giant distraction, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to explore how to navigate the web in modern classrooms to make learning practical, engaging, and, genuinely effective.
Yormy drops a pretty bold premise right out of the gate here. He argues that the internet isn't just some shiny new toy or like an optional add-on. It's a mandatory, highly effective tool for educators right now. And his core focus isn't simply about just sticking glowing screens in a room. It's really about how thoughtful technology integration, proper planning, and targeted teaching strategies can literally elevate the way students process information.
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll start with the digital classroom shift, then look at adapting for age and subject, dive into the psychology behind digital learning, discuss the teacher's role as a digital guide, and finally wrap up with the realities, challenges, and solutions. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the digital classroom shift. In practice, the internet makes literally any subject way more tangible. Think about math. We can leave those dry textbook equations behind and use interactive problem-solving sites or dynamic counting games. English class transforms from just silent reading into engaging storytelling videos and real-time pronunciation exercises. Science students, they get to dive into thrilling online experiments or high-def nature documentaries. And social studies classes can just explore the globe through interactive maps and historical footage. It's all about connecting classroom theory directly to the real world, making every single subject infinitely more vibrant.
Moving on to Section 2, adapting for age and subject.
Because, honestly, you wouldn't hand a toddler a complex research paper, right? Teachers have to deliberately calibrate these digital tools as students grow. For young CEC learners, it's all about simple, colorful content. Think alphabet videos and intuitive, picture-based apps. Then, as they step up to primary school, students need slightly more complex, guided activities, maybe some interactive educational games. By the time they hit secondary school, well, the training wheels can come off of it, paving the way for independent, research-based learning opportunities.
And the best part, we're not talking about obscure million-dollar software systems here. Schools are successfully hacking everyday platforms to make this happen. They're using Google Classroom to seamlessly streamline assignments, or pulling up YouTube to visualize complex science concepts right mid-lesson. They're tapping into readily available apps to make math and reading genuinely fun. These familiar, everyday tools are what directly increase student motivation, participation, and ultimately, their academic performance.
Okay, let's look at Section 3, the psychology of digital learning.
This digital approach isn't just some modern gimmick, It's actually backed by classic science. Take renowned psychologist Jean Piaget. He figured out decades ago that kids aren't just empty hard drives waiting to download facts from a teacher. Actually, they learn best through active exploration. They need to poke, prod, and interact with their environment to truly internalize new concepts.
And honestly, the digital space is the ultimate playground for exactly this kind of discovery. Young learners can physically tap, drag, and interact with items on a screen. Primary students don't have to just stare blankly at a chalkboard. They can battle it out in dynamic, interactive online quizzes. And secondary students can actively hunt down information and synthesize data through deep online research. It's Piaget's core concept of active exploration, just fully realized through a screen.
But, as we know, learning isn't a solo mission, which brings us to Lev Vygotsky. His social development theory proves that we are literally hardwired to learn best when we collaborate and interact with others. We grasp concepts so much faster and deeper when we're participating in a shared, guided experience. Now, there's this persistent myth that screens isolate kids, but actually, when they're used right, they fulfill Vygotsky's collaborative vision perfectly. We're talking about cloud-coordinated group research projects, spirited online discussions, shared digital presentations, and virtual teamwork activities. Technology gives students entirely new, interconnected spaces to communicate and, most importantly, cooperate. Finally, we have Abraham Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs. This points to a very simple, undeniable truth. Basic safety and emotional needs just have to be met before higher-level brain power kicks in. I mean, you simply can't focus on complex algebra if you don't feel secure, supported, and grounded in your own environment. In the digital realm, Maslow's theory takes on a whole new layer of meaning. Yes, it absolutely means physical classroom safety, but it also means providing reliable, equitable access to technology so no student feels left behind or inadequate. It requires teachers to act as cheerleaders, offering consistent emotional support and encouragement as kids navigate these unfamiliar and, let's be real, sometimes overwhelming digital spaces.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, the teacher as digital guide. Because all of this incredible technology is effectively useless without the human element. The teacher is the ultimate anchor in the digital classroom. It's entirely on their shoulders to teach rigorous internet safety, curate the absolute best educational websites, and keep a watchful eye on digital activities. They're the frontline defense preventing the misuse of the web, making sure the focus remains strictly on discovery and positive learning experiences.
All right, let's bring it home with Section 5, Realities, Challenges, and Solutions.
We have to be completely realistic about the hurdles here, right? Poor internet connections, a lack of hardware, limited electricity, and steep costs. These are massive, daily barriers for so many schools. But Yormi points out these aren't dead ends. We can actively bridge this gap by intentionally funding dedicated computer labs, hunting down affordable internet devices, and, most importantly, investing heavily in technology workshops to train the teachers who are actually leading the charge.
Ultimately, integrating the web into education isn't just about using flashy gadgets to look modern. It really comes down to a very simple, powerful formula. Internet plus education equals better learning. It sparks deep creativity, hones vital research skills, vastly improves communication, and quite literally boosts overall academic performance across the board.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. When we bring screens into the classroom, are we just granting internet access to keep students quiet and busy? Or are we intentionally using these tools to prepare them for the reality of the modern world? Effective digital pedagogy, supported by psychology and guided by dedicated teachers, ensures our students are truly equipped for success. The choice is ours. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and stay curious.